All right, let's go ahead and dive into today's training. And this is all about how to hire and train your next best team member in your accounting firm. So, whether you've hired before or this is your first time hiring, this training is going to cover exactly how you can go ahead and hire and train so that you can retain that awesome, great team member. So my name is Katie Toscano. I'm one half of Cabot and Maine, and we help accounting firms to implement workflows into their business so that they can streamline and ultimately just have an amazing business that works like clockwork. So with that, let's just go ahead and dive right into what we're talking about today and why we are talking about it. The quote right here we have from Sarah Wetzel: an onboarding process that shows employees they are valued is a powerful retention tool. I worked for over 10 years in corporate. A good chunk of that was spent in accounting and operations, where we were really heavily focused on creating onboarding programs for our accounting and operations associates. And so this is something that I have a lot of experience with as far as best practices and how to really build effective programs so that people not only are ready to go earlier, they're adding value, but they're also happy, content, they want to be there, they want to contribute, they feel valued, and that makes them want to stay. So let's first talk about best practices, and then we're going to talk about the actual workflow for when it comes to hiring. So some best practices for when you're onboarding a new team member, whether they're even a contractor or a new team member. You want to make sure you're beginning before day one. So that means if they're starting on Monday, the whole week prior, they're getting a welcome email, they're starting to get access, they know what they are walking into come day one. Number two, setting clear expectations. You need to make sure that they know exactly what's expected of them from a performance perspective, from a training perspective, from a time perspective. What do you expect from them? And make sure that's documented so it's really clear to them that they can meet those expectations and even go above and beyond. Use a structured, comprehensive onboarding plan. This is massive because we often see the accounting firms that we work with don't have a process for this. They are just kind of throwing it out there and hoping that they can get their admins trained. They know they need something better, but they typically don't have time to do it. So we do offer this structured comprehensive onboarding plan that you'll hear about soon, but it's really important that you do use that, and it's awesome because you can also just use it, rinse and repeat, use it over and over again for every new hire, every new team member that you bring in. Providing resources for continuous learning. You want to make sure they have the resources because you don't want to have to handhold them all the time, right? You want them to be able to own their own training, their own onboarding as much as possible. And you want them to be able to find those things on their own. The next one, assigning a buddy or mentor, even if that's just you, it's someone they can go to with questions. You don't want someone that's afraid to ask questions. You want the person who is asking the right questions, getting the right answers, performing the right work. So having that buddy, that mentor, whether it's you, someone on your team, to make sure that they do have that person that they can go to is huge, and it's going to set them up for success and make them feel less afraid to make mistakes because they have someone to run things by before they're actually executing them. Encourage communication and feedback. Everybody's communication style is incredibly different, but what we typically teach our students is over communication is typically better than under, right? You want to make sure that they're communicating with you where they're at, what are their concerns, what are they having a challenge with, and they expect that from you as well. So you're communicating those expectations. You're communicating updates. You're communicating any changes to their workload. You're communicating their workload in the first place. So we want to encourage that two-way communication as well as feedback. We have a training program, the A+ Admin Academy, where we actually train them to give and receive feedback because it's so important to not take it personally, but to really incorporate that and make sure that they're able to receive that and improve the way that they work. So we want to encourage you to really have that clear communication and provide that feedback, and really to be able to take that back too, because you want to hear from them of what's working and what's not. And then the last one here, celebrate those milestones and achievements. Recognize when their anniversary is. Recognize when they're done with all of their training program. Recognize their first accomplishments when it comes to their workload. Make sure that they know that you value what they're doing and that you're paying attention. It matters so much. And birthdays in there too, right? All right, let's talk about your high-level workflow. When it comes to bringing someone on, it's really a 4-part process. We're going to hire, we're going to welcome them, we're going to train them, and then we're going to basically send them off to go live. So what this means is in your hiring process, this is where you're really doing all the prep work and then the actual execution of screening your candidates, getting the right candidates into your pool, and finding the right fit. Then we're going to welcome them. We want to set them up for success. That's what we talked about before even day 1 starts. We want them to have a warm welcome. We want them to meet the team if you have one, and to really feel like a pivotal part of your firm. Then we're going to train them. If you don't train them, they don't know what they're doing, period. You need them to be successful. They need to know what they're doing and why they're doing it. They need to understand the systems, and they need to understand how to do their job. And then when we go live, we are not just throwing them into the wind, go for it. We're giving them their workload. We're giving them that time to practice, to shadow, to ask those questions. We're making sure that we're checking in with them before we are sending them off to go live. That's going to empower them to ask those questions and to do it the right way. And it will end up being just so much better for you because they're going to feel more comfortable and they're ultimately going to be able to add value quicker to your firm, which is huge. So let's go ahead and break each of these down a little bit as far as what these things can include. So when it comes to hiring, this is where, again, we're asking the right questions, we're screening our candidates, our applicants, and we're making sure that they're the right fit for our firm. So we're going to create the role descriptions, we're going to create the application, we're going to post it into online forums, we're going to review those applications, we're going to create those interview questions, conduct our interviews, we're going to decide who's the right fit, we're going to send out that offer, and we're going to await acceptance. Now, we do have some tools here for you if you have been paying attention to our 6 days of giveaways. If not, that's okay too. We have hiring templates that we are giving away that include a template for the role description, application questions, as well as interview questions that you can use to helpfully screen and find the perfect candidate for your firm. So once we've hired, we've decided who we want, they've accepted, we're going to move on to the welcome. So again, we're setting them up for success with a very warm welcome. We're going to make sure that we're taking care of any of that legal paperwork that needs to be signed, payroll, things like that. We're going to send them that warm welcome email, letting them know, here's your start date, here's your next steps. We're going to make sure they have all the access they need. Get started on that sooner. Depending on all of the technology you have, sometimes that can actually take longer than we expect. So we want to make sure that they have the access they need on day 1. Then once they start, we're going to make sure that they have a firm overview. They understand what is it that you do, who do you serve, and how do you serve them? What are your offers? And who's on your team? And then they're going to actually meet the team if you have one. You want to make sure that they are building those relationships because that's who they're going to go to with all of their questions. And then we're going to review their training plan and workload. You want to say, hey, Joe, here is exactly what I expect from you. Here is your workload and when you're going to start it. And here's how we're going to guarantee that you are ready to go before you do that. And here's your training plan. So again, we have some tools for you here. We do have inside of our A+ Academy, we do have onboarding swipe copy, which would include emails that you can use the templates to send that welcome email, to provide them with an update around, hey, here's what your learning is going to look like, your training plan, and here's an introduction to the learning portal that's inside the A+ Academy as well. Inside the A+ Academy, we also have a training plan that you can go over as a firm owner or manager with your new hire as well. And then they can actually, you'll see in the next slide, use the actual trainings inside of the learning portal inside the A+ Academy to actually get those actual live trainings, live recorded trainings. Okay, we're talking about training. I touched on this a little bit. We're giving them exactly what they need to be successful, period. Most of those trainings we do include inside of our A+ Academy, but there's going to be things that you need to include that maybe are more specific to how you do things or just very specific workflows or systems that you use. Inside the A+ Academy, we have systems training, we have accounting training. If you do have new admins, they're new to accounting, we have background on, terminology and dates, entity types. We also have a lot of how-to trainings, including in QuickBooks including in TaxDome, Dubsado, depending on the firms or the systems you use. We have a lot of those how-to trainings. We have a whole deep dive section, a bonus section on TaxDome. Most of our firms we work with do use TaxDome, so we built out an entire section specifically for admins to learn how to use that. And then in your training, you're giving them that time to practice like we talked about, right? So they are asking the questions, they are testing things out, and so we're building that time into the training. We do have a lot of things that they inside the systems they can use to go and search and find things and try things out as well. And then inside this program, one of the benefits that we are so excited about is our soft skills training. So I don't know about you, but this is something that, at least for me when I worked in corporate, I was expected to have certain skills, but I had no idea in some cases what those were and how I could even learn them. And we found in working with different accounting firm owners that this is an area that is often lacking. So you might need someone who's able to take the initiative, to be accountable, to manage their time. But the admins don't necessarily always know how to do this or where to get started. So we have included an entire pretty large section on a lot of different soft skills that the admins can learn to really be able to implement those into your firm and add that value. And so we do have those trainings inside the A+ Academy as well. We do have another free tool. It's the two-week roadmap as part of our 6 days of giveaways that really does show you the long list of trainings that you can use to really help get your admins up to speed in this space as well. And then lastly, we have our go live. So this is where we're not just throwing them out, right? We're getting them prepared. We're making sure they have everything they need. We're assigning them a specific workload. We highly recommend that you do that inside of a tool such as TaxDome, such as Asana, ClickUp, etc., so they know they can go in and they can clearly see what's assigned to them. We're giving them the opportunity to potentially shadow with you or a team member. We're checking in on them. We are making sure they feel like their training is going really well, they know what they're doing. And then eventually we're going to say, it's time to go. Let's go. But once we do that, we're still going to review their work initially, and we're ultimately going to check in and make sure, how are things going? What questions do you have? How can we help support you? All those things. We want to make sure that we are consistently available and present for them so that they feel extremely supported in what they are doing. And they're going to be happier knowing that you have their back, that you're there to not just judge them, you're there to help support them and make sure that they know what they're doing and they feel equipped. It's huge. So again, we do have some tools for this as well. Inside the A+ Academy, we do have the firm owner training and onboarding plan that you can use to help you manage and monitor this portion. And then we have, again, a lot of different templates inside of there as well to really help on the admin side to check in with you, to communicate, to make sure that they're asking you questions, and also the opportunity that you have to go and check in with them as well. So just to recap how to hire and train your next best team member, we want to make sure that we're following all the things that need to happen both before you hire. We're screening them, we're giving them that warm welcome, we're training them on exactly what they need to be successful, and then we're supporting them as they go live. As I mentioned, we do have a lot of free tools as part of our 6 days of giveaways that are part of this that you can go ahead and download. You'll get your some templates, you'll get some checklists, etc. And then if you did want to enroll your admins in our training program, it is the A+ Academy, and it is going to be amazing. It's launching in early November, and this is where we are going to be giving you and your admin an entire learning portal full of very specific systems trainings, how-to trainings on the core accounting systems, as well as those soft skill trainings that we talked about as well. So we invite you to stick with us and make sure that you learn more. You can visit cabotandmain.com. The Admin Academy will go live, like I mentioned, in early November. We're super excited, and please make sure that if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You can email us, hello@cabotandmain, or you can just find us on Instagram and DM us there as well. So stay tuned. There's so many more good things to come.